Should just go with it.
Hey, friends. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Episode 6 of Your Day with David. Here with my good friend, Alex Corey. Here in Galena, Illinois. Good friend's a loose term. But Alex also, we're here in Galena, kind of on a little bit of vacation, celebrating our good friend Sadie's birthday.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone who watches the show knows Sadie and Drew now. They are episode 1 over at their house in Iowa, and then kind of here just to get away and actually by the time that we're recording this, everyone's up and gone, and it was a pretty good weekend.
It's our private time now, man.
Just you and me.
Yeah, so
we can finally tell them how we really feel.
All right, I gotta get this out of the way. Are we supposed to look at the camera occasionally? Do we do that? We're talking with the audience, or is that unnatural? Okay. Okay. I just want to make sure. No, it's been a while since I've been on. I love these things. It's just it's been a while since I've been on this type of platform, like podcast or recording. So it's really thanks for having me.
Yeah.
But
well, obviously happy to have you, and Alex is one of the kind of original crew. I feel like there's been a few episodes now of people that we met in college. Drew, Sadie, and Yandi have pretty much been on the show. Alex is part of that group as well. Our junior year of college.
Well,
more like second semester, sophomore year.
Well, yeah, Drew had us come out. Had JT and I come out there sophomore year, so we met each other. And we got, I think, it was a really bad day. I remember, not weather-wise. It was very gloomy. It was good to be out there.
Yeah,
but,
it was a bad day meeting you too.
Shut the. We got Jeff's Pizza, and then the story I think went from there.
Yeah,
as we enrolled in Iowa State junior year, and then look at us, old.
Yeah, today Alex is an interesting guy. I think any of our friends, if we were to describe Alex, we'll just call him interesting. But Alex and I share some similarities in our college experience. One of the things that I kind of want to talk about is our dumbest breakups. Along with the whole college experience, but I think there's some.
It's poison, by the way. I'm trying to get out of this really quick.
We've been drinking poison all weekend. We're finally hydrating.
That's true.
And because this episode, I want to be a little bit more lighthearted. I have a few episodes scheduled up where the theme of the podcast is pretty much we're all stuck in depression and mental illness, and how do we get through that? We've been through bad breakups, and luckily, or a nice thing about Alex is we can pretty much turn any serious conversation into a stupid one.
Oh yeah, no,
that's one of
a lot of go-tos of Spongebob jokes. It's
a
classic thing. We both are eye to eye on that.
Yeah, well, we also share the same intelligence as SpongeBob and Patrick too.
Yeah. Cool.
We don't have an agenda. We don't have normally I have bullet points of things I want to talk about, and probably the only thing that I want to, because now it's been 7 years since we initially met then.
Oh yeah.
And so I'll just share first. I'll talk about our sophomore year, where we kind of had us. There's 4 roommates now at this point. It
was junior year though.
Right. I guess Drew hadn't moved out yet.
Yeah. That was the first semester.
All right.
You, Drew. Just kidding. Sadie's cool though.
Yeah. So we had 5 roommates then that sophomore year. And then Drew was dating Sadie at the time. And Alex and I also were dating Sadie's roommates.
Yes.
Good old Michaela and Jesse. Oof. Don't worry, they don't watch the show.
What are you talking about? This is up there with Joe Rogan, dude.
True, yeah.
Shit.
Yeah, he's on next week's podcast.
That's fine. Yeah, no, I get what you're going.
And I guess I want to talk about my experience about getting hung up on someone after such a short period of time being together. Because I was so sad, man. I remember, so I think anyone knows when you get 3 roommates dating 3 roommates, it's kind of just a recipe for disaster.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it'd be cool if stuff like that worked out, but I don't think it ever does. Because I remember it started with you. Jesse broke up with you.
Yeah.
And that put you in a certain type of way, if I remember.
It was more so, it's interesting because looking back at that, I mean, I had relationships before, but I'll just be open and honest. I lost my virginity with Jesse. And, you know, my sex. Nice. Okay, I'm done making the poses. But, like, I guess it's one of those ones where, like, I could have had sex in high school. I think a lot of people could have. I think it's kind of like one of these ones where it's like you want to make you want to make sure like your first time is going to be actually something worth it. Like that was my whole thing is if, like, you know, the opportunities in high school, it's kind of just like, well, do I really want to be intimate with them? To me, like sex is more than just sex. Like there's two types of sex to me. There's casual sex, like hooking up sex, just like that. But then there's actually intimate sex, you know, really where cute. Like, what is with you? Wow. Here I am trying to be serious.
I'm agreeing with you, man.
But so, I mean, with Jesse, it's kind of funny because I thought she hated me at first. I remember that party the week before school started. Mm-hmm. We threw at the apartment, and I thought Jesse absolutely couldn't stand my guts. Mm-hmm. She was like, you know, I've been a bartender for years. I'm like, what are you? I'm like, a mage. I play WoW. I'm pretty sure that was my response. Oh, and you know me, I'm just sitting there. I'm like, okay. And then we went to the gym down at South Duff, and Sadie shows up. You know, she shows up while we're working out, and she's like, oh yeah, Jesse really likes you, by the way. I'm like, really? What did I do? I don't understand.
What's wrong with
I mean, it's not like I had any problem with her. I just thought that, like, you know, that first initial action, like, she hated me. So that relationship was really confusing from the get-go.
How could anyone like Alex? So I'm so confused.
It was a little bit confusing in that respect, but so we ended up, obviously I lost my virginity to her, as like I said. Looking back at the relationship, I really think it was just a sense of, okay, for me personally, like I really fell hard for her. It was someone that truly liked me just from the get-go. My first experience at like a university college.
Yeah, she's cute.
Yeah, she's cute. But I probably got addicted to the sex lifestyle because once I lost my virginity, I'm like, wow, this is, you know, I'm just gonna say it feels great. Like it's what it is. But you know, it's so. Obviously that continued, and then, you know, 2-3 months later we broke up. Like it just kind of ended. In fact, there was a period before that we kind of stopped seeing each other.
Did it go that long? 2-3 months?
It probably was only like, if you count it, it's probably only like 2 months. There was a period in that 2 months that we separated because she got angry at me thinking that I was hitting on another girl. And which I think was Michaela, and I was just having normal conversation.
I don't think so, because I would have been seeing Kim.
We went to Hickory Park as like the 4 of us, I think. So you and Michaela were seeing each other, and I was seeing Jesse, and we were just all shooting the shit. I try to be a friendly person, so I was just like, you know, if I had any type of conversation with Michaela, apparently Jesse thought that I was trying to pull a fast one with Michaela. And I remember hearing that, and obviously Sadie heard that, and Sadie, I think like you all like tried to help me out with that, saying it's like,
too, like, you pull fast ones all the time.
Oh yeah,
they're all fast.
30 seconds. Same.
Okay,
but
I don't know if I knew that, or maybe I just.
It's. I mean. A lot happened 6-7 years ago. So all I remember is that wasn't the major breakup. But there was a point where like she stopped talking to me, and then all of a sudden she would send me a text. She's like, I don't hate you or anything. I'm like, well, then why did you stop talking with me?
You know, you're piecing back the puzzle for me a little bit.
Yeah.
It was so long ago. It's almost so insignificant, but again, we'll just call it shared trauma that you and I had. Because very quickly after you and Jesse stopped seeing each other, I think... I was seeing Kayla, and then, a few weeks later, maybe she and I split. And so altogether, I mean, I'm pretty sure me and her were really only together for like a month of actual like dating.
I know though Jesse broke up with me first. You guys went on, I think, another week or two at least.
Something like that. Yeah. So. And then, you know, she left to go to like her ex that, you know, basically just texting her all the things like, oh, I can give you everything I couldn't before and all. And she went to like moth to a flame. And I'm sitting here like, you know, this good guy.
All right. Keep going. I'm listening.
Yeah. And it's like, I think everyone. God, I gotta edit that out.
No, you don't. God. It's around 12 minutes and 48 seconds. Just
who's counting? And I think there's always that sense of like when someone walks away, you're like, what is wrong with me? You know, like what could I have fixed?
Right. 100%. Yeah.
And I think when I look back at that, there really wasn't anything wrong. Well, really, with either of us.
No, I don't think so. I think it was more so like, at least for me, I think it was a very sex-based relationship, which in the casual sense, that's fine. Yeah. Like if it's communicated from both parties' perspectives, then it's okay. But me, obviously, I thought it was more intimate. I don't think Jessie ever thought of it that way. Although she would like to say it sometimes, she would like the romance here and there. It obviously didn't last that long, and it was probably just a little bit of a facade. Right. Maybe she was just kind of like disguising it to keep like the sex going, stuff like that. I don't know. Like,
yeah, I think
I have no grudge against her personally.
No, none of us.
I mean, if anything, I'm glad that I learned a lot. You know, it taught me a lot, you know, going like forward in life.
Yeah. So. And I think, you know, it comes down to kind of like expectations in a relationship. And if both sides aren't on the same page, that's when things get kind of dicey.
Right.
If you feel, because I think with Kayla, although, and again, everything works out in the end, kind of like blessings in disguise. But, you know, I think I, just like you, was like, all right, like, let's not just have this be like a college like fleeing or whatever it might be. Right, let's see where this goes. And I think that was largely because, you know, you look at Drew and Sadie, who to me are this like gold standard of a relationship.
Sponsor us, by the way, Drew and Sadie.
Hashtag ad. And, you know, I think there's just a sense that, you know, you look at them or really any healthy relationship that works out and people are like, man, I kind of want that. Right. And then you project that onto whoever you're seeing and then just try to make it work. Not that anyone's like going into a relationship trying to make sure it ends horribly, but, you know, vice versa. We were just trying to see where it led. And again, this episode, it's lighthearted because I want to talk about how stupid it was, how sad I got after like me and Kayla didn't work out, because I look back and like, you know, there really wasn't any like, we didn't have any same common interests. We didn't spend a whole lot of time together.
I mean, you got to have at least something in interest. Maybe not a lot, but like a little bit there to at least ignite the fire of it.
I think we're just like two relatively good-looking people that said, "Hey, what's up?"
Who are those people?
Yeah, I
don't know. Are they in their room somewhere?
And
I mean, Xena's over there. Xena's pretty good looking. So.
Yeah. And then I don't know how long it took me to get over all that. How long do you think it took you to get over Jessie, if you're being honest?
Okay. I'd say it probably breaks down into like two phases. At first, I was more angry depressed. I would say like I was very angry. I remember when she showed up that one time when they came over to our apartment because they wanted to go sledding after the breakup happened. And I was like, what the fuck is this going on? It was like maybe a couple weeks after it, still in the like emotional recovery part of it.
Yeah, I remember because I was Kayla and I broke up too at that point.
I think the thing is that like, you know, we can look back now and say it was stupid. We can look back and say like, are those like, how could we have fallen for it? But that's because we learned from it. You know, we gained wisdom, we grew as adults, and now we understand that it's like, wow, that was pretty silly. But as silly as it was, it's a learning experience. It's a building block into your life. At least that's how I look at it. I look at it as to like, I can build off of this. I'm not going to look back because I already know that it's like, okay, I learned from it. I'm moving forward. And I think that's a lot of, like, that takes a lot to learn. It's not just simple. It's like, well, geez, I'm just going to do that and I'm not going to be depressed and anxious anymore. No, like, it takes a while to train that. Even now, I'm sure you and I were prone. I've had anxiety episodes. I've had depressed episodes. I think everybody does. But, understanding what causes them and like when you've gone through that, the more knowledge you gain how to deal with it and get past it, it makes you a better person. And I think once you learn that, you'll be a happier person.
Yeah.
So.
Well, see, I think that's great that you learned so much because I can tell you, I feel like I didn't learn a goddamn thing from my relationship.
Yeah, maybe it's not. It doesn't have to be so black and white, but like, obviously, it's a very complicated subject. Everybody learns, in my opinion, I feel like everyone learns their own different, perspectives.
Right.
Like, yeah, no. So, and like I said, my whole thing is that I don't regret losing my virginity to Jesse. I don't, but there was a little bit, like, in my mind at the time, there were a couple times that I actually turned her down. Like I said, I'm like, I'm not ready for this. I'm not ready for this. Oh. Probably around like maybe the third time. I mean, who's really counting? That doesn't matter. But one of the times was 1, 2, 3. It's in my diary. But it's been this many days since I lost my virginity.
Day 14.
But
supplies are running low.
But like, it's just that it definitely had an influence in the decision where I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's do this. Like,
sure.
So that I think that's really why it was so hard for me to get over. But so the phase 1, back to the original question, I totally got sidetracked there, but I thought it was a good conversation. Phase 1 was about the like anger and stuff. I'd say after I fully got over it, like after a couple months or 3 months, I was like, okay, I can go through life and not necessarily get so depressed, but there's definitely times that I think about her. I'd say it probably took a good year plus to officially stop saying like, oh, I'm done thinking about her. Like now we're talking about her, but this is just casual conversation. It's not like she pops in my mind when I'm like driving or something.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
This is all just reminiscing.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean,
I think it took me like 6 months on my end, which is funny because I talked to some people like who have been in relationships, whether it's serious or not, but one side was pretty invested. Mm-hmm. And then, they end up on the other side of it. And I asked them, how long did it take you to get over this or that? And they say, well, normally the rule of thumb is like it's half of how long the relationship lasts, or it's double how long half of how long the relationship lasted. So if it lasted like 2 years, it would take you a year to get.
Oh, okay, I get what you're saying. I was about to be like.
Yeah,
the Jim Halpert right there from The Office. Just like,
yeah.
Okay. No, I get you now. I get what you're saying.
So, that's probably accurate.
Mm-hmm. It seems about right.
Yeah.
Except in that theory, though, I took longer.
Ours. The
theory is correct, except it just didn't work.
It's a great theory, except for us.
We're the exception.
Losers. And then I guess. Has dating changed for you since then?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Alex also is part of the Chicagoland crew.
Well, outside of Chicago, but yeah. The only reason I said that,
you are.
Yeah, the only reason I say that though is because it's nothing against you. It's because I know if anyone from Chicago watches this, they get really anal about when someone says you're not really from Chicago. Like that's the thing. So like to everyone else outside of Illinois. It's like, where are you from? Oh, I'm from Crystal Lake. Where is that? It's, it's an hour from Chicago. Oh, okay, I gotcha. But like people from Chicago take offense that like you're not really from Chicago. It's like you don't understand talking to people that don't live in Illinois. Sorry, had to say that. That was like,
hey, you guys have to have pride in something.
Yeah. I mean, I personally am not the biggest fan of Chicago, but that's just
the White Sox, though. That's all you got.
Oh yeah, I got that. But
you like the White Sox more than the Cubs, yeah?
Yeah. I've actually, it's funny because
shout out to JT.
That was another. I was about to bring that up. I remember the night that had a really bad migraine. The Cubs won the World Series. I'm like, God, this sucks. As a White Sox fan, but I was happy. I can honestly say I was happy for Drew, JT. I know you're a Cardinals fan, but you were rooting for the Cubs. So that was cool of you to do. So I mean, I was happy for like. Definitely the loyal fans that have waited years. I'm like, okay, you know what? You guys absolutely earned this one. So,
yeah,
as much as I can't stand your team, I do have to tip my hat.
Yeah, and again, there's so many people from the Chicagoland area that come to Iowa State just for the lower tuition costs than in-state. And Welch Street, for 2 nights in a row, just like had all the Chicago Cubs fans on there just saying "Go Cubs, go" for like hours on end.
No, I'm sure.
Hours.
Well, you also have the Iowa Cubs, so I'm sure there's a big Cubs fan base. They're a loyal fan. There's no doubt that there's way more Cubs fans in the world than White Sox. No, I think that's kind of where the grudge is. But no, I remember that. I was really happy for a couple of people that were in the business fraternity, which was co-ed. They had guys and girls in there. That wasn't really a house. It was a different type of. It wasn't like your general fraternity. But I remember
educated.
Yeah, some business
Classy.
stuff. Yeah.
You wore suits.
We did. We wore pins.
Tea time.
I think the pin. I remember the pin goes on here instead of on this side. I believe.
For those listening.
Yeah. Hey, you never know. Next time they're at a job interview, if they have like a little pen.
Literally, for those listening, they can't see which side you just pointed to.
What do you mean?
That there's Spotify and YouTube, Alex. So for the people who listen on Spotify and can't see you.
We're doing that? God, this is a setup. This sucks.
So for those that don't know, I have a gun pointed at Alex at all times during this.
If you haven't noticed.
Blink twice if you need help.
It's not a laughing laugh. It's literally saved me.
The whole time you're just like, oh.
Okay, that makes sense though.
So you put the pin on the left side, not the right side.
But there were a ton of Cubs fans that were. I remember we had a fraternity meeting that night, and there were Cubs fans like coming in with their shirts on, not dressed professionally, but everyone said it's absolutely okay. It's Game 7. We understand. It's a huge moment for the city of Chicago. So, it was, yeah.
Now, I guess so I'll give a little bit of background. So I'm from small town Iowa. Iowa really doesn't have any professional sports, from say like the NBA level, if you will, right? And my parents also were not the type to have sports channels growing up. The fact that I had Nickelodeon itself was kind of like like thank God. But
that's where we get all our SpongeBob references, man.
Yeah, that's true. And so I never had a team that I could root for. In fact, for those listening, I ended up becoming a Patriots fan because I was in 8th grade. The first ever Super Bowl that I watched. All right, so it counted, right? Because I was 13 at the time. Like, it's not like I was a bandwagoner, right?
Amen.
I probably didn't think I knew the word bandwagon.
Amen.
I mean, I'm not trying to justify my decision here.
It's okay to be a Patriots fan. Tom Brady is the ultimate American. I respect that man, even though I can't stand playing him, but he is the ultimate American.
Yeah.
So
shout out to Aaron Rodgers, another 4-year deal, $200 million. We'll see if he lasts all 4 years.
I think I'll play the 2. But anyways, you were talking about yourself.
Oh, was I?
we can talk about Aaron Rodgers. Unless you're trying to bail out of it, like this is stupid. Dodge. It's like,
So that's how I got my first professional team that I liked. The Patriots were in that Super Bowl in I think that was 2006. Against was it the Steelers? Steelers was that year maybe?
Wait, say that one more time.
2006.
Who was the Super Bowl?
I'm asking. I can't remember it anymore. I just remember the Patriots were in it, right? Was it 06 or 05? I don't want to do
06 was Pittsburgh Steelers versus Seattle. And the Steelers won, and it was a very controversial game. Wait. Yes. Confirmed. 100% confirmed.
Okay.
Not confirmed.
So,
it was Bears and Colts. Okay. That was what it was. Okay, sorry. Hey, I'm a big sports nut here. I have to get this right. I apologize.
Okay. Anyway, and so I also didn't have a favorite college team either, and so I didn't actually care about college sports until my older brother Robert got this agricultural scholarship to go to Iowa State. And so I was like, oh, dude, my brother's going to Iowa State. All of a sudden, I like Iowa State. It was my first chance to have some kind of affinity towards any kind of college team. So I never really understood, though, diehard fans, right? I guess where this was all leading was how do you? I've met diehard fans, right, that live and bleed their team till the day they die. How does that start? Is it indoctrinated by your parents?
So you're asking me?
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
well, so I love the White Sox. I love the I go back and forth in Milwaukee Bucks and Bulls. I'm probably more of a Bucks fan right now.
The Bulls are good too, actually.
Yeah,
sure.
they are. But I mean, I the thing is that the Bulls have been bad for so long. I hate their management. But the only team that I'm really diehard about is the Packers. Like I bleed, as you would say, I bleed my team's colors green and gold.
I remember you bailed on a trip to see Drew Sadie and I just so you could go see a Packers game.
Well, no, remember that was if. I wouldn't be able to make it if the Packers won, which they went ahead and lost.
They lost, and you still didn't make it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I'm tired, man. There was a snowstorm.
I'll tell you one thing why. Okay, that was actually really quick before we go back into the Die Hard stuff. That was the scariest drive I've ever done. I'm not even joking. So we came back after defeat. Now, that wasn't the problem. I mean, I guess it was.
Just close your eyes, man.
There wasn't snow expected in that forecast later that night. So when we were leaving the stadium, it started snowing. And we're like, oh, it's probably just a dusting. It's not going to be that much. It keeps going and going and going. My dad and I are parked off. We're warming the car up. We're waiting for the parking lots to clear out. No one's moving. We sat there for probably 45 minutes to an hour. You would expect at least some movement by that. No one's moving. All of a sudden we saw fire trucks and ambulances come because people are sliding off into ditches. So we're like, fuck. So we ended up then finally moving and taking a back route that would extend us. Okay, we're only going to be delayed a little bit. Snow kept coming. We drove. It takes probably 3.5 hours to get from around the Elgin, Illinois area to Green Bay, Wisconsin. And that drive that night took us about 7 hours to get home. And we drove the entire way. So, and it was just slow driving. And there were times where car would be skidding. But my dad and I were both in it together. We're experienced winter drivers. So we were able to get home, which was good. But that took so much out of me. That was that's a learning experience in life right there. Get a hotel. Because we were thinking about it, and then we kind of just said, let's just continue. We don't want to stop here. Bad idea.
I see. So okay. So again, I get it. Terrible snowstorm. Took 7 hours. Man, you're
needed
beat.
To wait. That
you're beat. Good thing that we scheduled our meetup a whole week later.
Oh, Jesus Christ!
Man, I could see. You're so stressed out and tired from that drive.
It was the worst drive.
Man, you had a whole week to recuperate, and here it comes Saturday. Hey, Alex, man, you coming out still? Oh man, I'm just so tired.
Is that how I said it? Oh man, I'm a douche. Oh man, just gonna fucking be an asshole here. See ya, nerds.
I mean, Alex, look, I can pull up the text. No, man, look, something came up.
We'll post that in the comments on the video.
Oh, God.
We'll do it MS Paint when you draw the text.
Oh, God.
But anyways, back to the Die Hard. The original question.
Oh, you want to dodge?
Yeah. Well, that was the original question. I said I was going to get off it a little bit. So, my dad, how we became Packers fans is that my grandfather liked the Decatur Staleys. That's what it is. That was before the Chicago Bears. But when they started moving around, he didn't like that, so he started rooting for the Green Bay Packers. And then that just kind of carried on through, the birth of his... What? Decatur Staleys, Decatur, Illinois. That's where the Chicago Bears originally came from.
They were called the Staleys?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
So once they moved, he didn't like that.
What's a Staley?
I don't freaking know, man. You don't let me explain it.
I'm going to let you finish.
Can't focus now. Shit, this whole thing's botched. We got to do it over.
Scrap it. Set it on fire.
So my grandfather, they had 7 kids. Catholic family, Irish Catholic family. Produced a lot of babies.
Okay.
We all grew up as Packers fans, and that's how it kind of just started. My dad he absolutely loved the sport. He grew up watching the Packers in the 60s when they're the team of the 60s, Vince Lombardi, and pure domination. And then he also watched the 70s and 80s when the Packers were complete crap. And it's actually kind of, my brother and I have talked about this a lot, saying that it's pretty there's a lot of pride we can tell with our dad because he watched them when they were just complete shit. Like he would watch every game. He'd listen on the radio. If he couldn't find a TV, he'd do that.
And I can see your dad's a pretty animated guy when it comes to sports. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's the one people make videos of, and they go viral of this dad.
He's definitely calmed down, but I'll get to that in a quick second. Okay. He's calmed down through age because my mom had to get him to calm down. But there would be times where Brett Favre would throw an interception, and he'd be like, he threw another one. God damn, he'd get up and he'd walk around the entire like family room and living room in circles, just contemplating. Oh yeah, and then my brother and I had to live through that, and obviously we followed in his footsteps.
You're just like walking in circles behind him.
You guys, I probably was crying at a young age. I'll never forget one time that I was so angry when the Packers
never change. Yeah. Still crying as an adult.
Cried before this, man.
I'm crying right now.
There was a story that the Bears were beating the Packers, and like when I was maybe in grade school still, I was so pissed off, maybe third grade. I'd go out to my driveway to shoot some hoops, get away from the game. Baller. My dad calls me and he said, "Hey Alex, like the Packers are on the 1 yard line, they're about to score." I'm like, "Okay, cool." They were going to take the lead. The running back, I'll never forget this. I'm on green, fumbles it. Brian Urlacher picks up the ball and runs it 98 yards to put the Bears out even further. And I remember screaming at my dad, "I hate you!" We always talk about that story now. At the time, I was devastated, but it's something you can look back and laugh.
What did your dad think of that moment?
He said he actually told me that he felt so bad as a father because like he really like. I mean, at that time, he's an adult. He grew up in Oak Park, so. The way he described it's in Chicago. So the way he described it is
Chicago or
it's in Chicago. Like it's part of Chicago.
Okay.
Yeah. Those people that are like sensitive about it, fuck off. But there was maybe like 10 Packers fans in maybe like a 25-mile radius is how he described it. So he grew up in tougher neighborhoods than I did of like taking shit whenever the Packers would do good. Me, I grew up in Illinois as a Packers fan. Yeah, you take shit at school, but not nearly as much. Still, as a father, he felt really bad for me. Like he's like, I know what he's going to go through tomorrow. I know what's going on. So, we follow in our father's footsteps. He's been fantastic to us. You know, we truly love him. So I think that's why we're diehards. I think you learn it from your parents more so. It's kind of like it carries on from generation to generation. Now, if I'm not a diehard, I don't expect my kid or kids to be a diehard. But I am, so they're fucked. They're going to have to deal with it. And whoever my future wife is, it's like, hey, I'm just saying.
Or husband. Yeah.
I don't punch any holes in the wall. Like I'm not like that, but I've always said this. Like after a devastating loss, I'm like, you just got to give me like an hour or two just to get past it. Leave me alone. I'll be like, okay, I get it. They broke our hearts again. Whatever.
You have breathing techniques and meditation.
Not so much that. I just have to kind of sit in my bed and stare at the ceiling and asking why God.
And then there's that whole crying thing again.
Jesus. Man.
Okay.
So yeah, that's. I'd say parents definitely have a true inspiration into a diehard. Unless they, I know Heather is a huge Blackhawks fan. I don't think she ever learned the Hawks from her parents, but she went through bouts of depression, anxiety, and she found actually a hobby in watching the Blackhawks, and now she always watches the Blackhawks. I don't think that's a coping mechanism either. Like Shout out to Heather.
Hope you're doing good.
But I don't think that's a coping mechanism whatsoever. Like,
is she get married?
No, she's in a relationship though.
Oh.
But so like she's a diehard Hawks fan, and they were doing really good, and that was something that she could look forward to in days that she was going through bouts of depression, anxiety, and now that she's overcome that, I mean, we all go through it still, but she's still a big Hawks fan, so that's also another way you can become a diehard, I think.
Just having something to be passionate about, right, helps. Not that it's like. I'm not sure it doesn't give purpose, but just saying like, you know, if I was like, okay.
It's something you can look forward to.
Yeah, I know when the next game is. Yes. I'm going to be there. Just like I know how many people who listen to this podcast are like, man, I can't wait to on Saturday listen to these
I hope they do.
Listen to these two
idiots. I feel like I'm trying to loosen up a bit. I feel like I was really stiff in the beginning because it's been a while since even if it's just on camera, like still, it's kind of like.
Yeah, I was joking. The last time Alex has been on camera, some Low budget porno.
Desperate times, man.
Yeah.
Inflation's really freaking high, so
yeah,
you
gotta pay for that
can.
gas somehow.
But
the trip out here really hurt. 300 miles for me.
Yeah, that's a hike for you. It was like a 6-hour drive, right?
I got 5.5. I made it in 5. But
it's always been my thing. Like I love Iowa. I want to eventually move out here. But,
we're in Illinois right now, but
yeah, that's true here, I guess. Even though Galena totally doesn't feel like Illinois, like at least from where I'm from.
It's just tucked away, you know.
Yeah, but I love my time at Iowa State. That I always want to come back out here. It's just life is you got to plan it accordingly.
So you think you're gonna look for opportunities to get back to Iowa?
Eventually, yes. I remember telling Drew and Sadie that I wanted it to be like a couple of years, but growing up and realizing like how many curveballs life throws you, you gotta. It takes a lot more planning than I guess I originally thought.
Yeah.
Especially after graduating college, which again is part of like growing and learning and maturing as an adult.
Okay.
So
it's interesting because you think about me and how I have no plans to go back to Iowa, and then we think about the episode with Yandy, who, while he loved his time with Iowa, said that it was pretty much also like the highest of highs and the lowest of lows for him. And then there's you that very much, in fact, does feel like you want to go back to Iowa and that environment.
I also had my lowest of lows too there too.
Yeah.
Well, some lows. Definitely lows. I don't know if it was the lowest of the lows.
What is your lowest of lows?
Probably when I got diagnosed with general anxiety disorder in 2018, which is a year after I graduated. So that probably was my lowest point because I was actually experiencing what a panic attack is and was experiencing panic attacks. But once I realized that, I'm like, I've had ADHD my whole life, and my thoughts tend to spiral out of control, which when that happens, that can make you very anxious, especially when you're you're really stressed. It almost felt like kind of like a house of cards, and you just like pull one thing. It felt like everything was falling around me. In reality, everything was fine. Like I was sick at the time, and I felt like I couldn't get back to work, and I felt if I couldn't get back to work, I was going to fall behind. And if I fell behind, I'd lose my job, and it like snowballs into that. In reality, again, you're just sick. Just relax. Take it easy, take a deep breath. So I probably have had general anxiety disorder from like most of my life, but when 2018, when I guess it's one of those ones where I'm living with one of my best friends, Tyler, at the time. Shout out to Tyler. At the apartment, it's kind of like you're away from your parents and you have a big boy job now. This isn't college anymore. Like, yeah, you have your responsibilities in college, but it's a lot more fun.
Yeah.
With an adult, you can have fun, but there's responsibilities. You got to take care of your finances, manage all that stuff. So it's added stress. And it took that point in my life to realize that I'm like, I kind of am a worrywart. So seeing a therapist at the time, maybe just even 5 or 6 sessions really helped. So that was probably my lowest of low point in my life, I'd say.
You started seeing a therapist back in 2018?
Yeah. Not when I was seeing a therapist. When I started seeing a therapist, I would say that's when I started to get up a bit because I had the ability to actually come out of my shell and actually go talk to someone about my problems. But I'd say the lowest of the low was when I started having just extreme panic attacks, really bad depression, anxiety, heart palpitations, all the time, felt like I was dying.
You still have those moments?
No, not so much. I mean, I have bouts of depression and anxiety. Sure. You do have those, but I'd say it's definitely under control. Because I now know what to expect, I think. The more you experience it and can push through it and deal with it, you're it definitely helps. I think there's different bouts of depression. For example, people that, go through extreme things like a loss of a child, a loss of a family member, a divorce, stuff like that. That's obviously a lot more extreme than just being sick and then worried about missing work. But if you can push through those troubles, which you absolutely can, and it's not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it. We wouldn't have, and I don't want to get too much into that, but severe consequences with a human's life, I guess is what I'll say.
Sure.
But if you were able to get through, I do believe that if you're able to push forward with that, you'll be much better prepared next time you deal with depression and anxiety.
Are there things that you do every time when a panic attack does come up, tips or tricks that you do that help you calm down, organize your thoughts? What do you, because you say, now I'm better prepared for next time.
Say one of those ones is first things I try to ground myself. I understand, like, why am I, like, okay, first off, analyze what's going on right now. Mm-hmm. First things first is, like, what's the problem? Like, what is the issue? Is it something with work? Why am I feeling this way? Am I feeling a little bit lost? Am I bored?
Is it my face?
Maybe. I don't see it enough.
Okay.
It's funny.
Identify the problem.
but like kind of identify a problem, understand what's going on and try to make reason of it. It's like, okay, well,
And sometimes there's not even a problem, right?
No, there's not even a problem. You're just kind of feeling down. You're just all of a sudden like, what's my purpose? What am I doing today? But then I think a lot of that is you try new things. For example, I started getting back in the gym last July because I wanted to start. I always missed the gym. I liked working out with you guys. In fact, that was one of probably the best therapeutical things we could do, especially when I broke up with Jesse. Like, I learned a lot from you and Drew because you guys are definitely better at the gym than I am. But lifting, it's you push a lot of that anger, a lot of that emotion, that stress into the weights. And afterwards, obviously you're tired, but the dopamine, you feel really good. And you did do something good. You worked out, you were healthy, you were productive. So getting back to the gym definitely helps. But on top of that, I don't think it's just so much the dopamine effect. I think it's the fact that I'm doing something with my life. I'm changing it up. I want to get better, and I enjoy this activity. I think people are afraid to try new things and fear that they're not going to enjoy it, and then they wasted their time. Yeah. But in reality, you have so much time in life that it's like you might as well try it. Don't go out murdering somebody. Don't do that. But, if you want to try out cooking, by all means, try that out. You want to go to this type of club, I don't know, a book club, try it. You want to study a martial art, go for it. You want to try and learn how to drive a motorcycle, by all means. Learning that I was an adult and that I never had the leash of my parents anymore post-college really helped me find out that I'm like, okay, I'm the adult. I can make the decision. I don't have to worry about someone else making the decision for me. I think that's really what helped ground me to deal with my depression and anxiety.
I remember, so I'll agree with pretty much everything you said, but again, physical health is mental health as well. When you take care of your body, you take care of yourself. And
absolutely.
Obviously, things like confidence and discipline come with, again, taking care of what you put into your body and what you put out.
Right.
I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but something that kind of, it's just a nice story. It's a very short one, but you went, after you've been working out with Drew and I for a little while, you had went back to visit your parents, I think, or something like that. And I think your mom or your dad, someone, they're like, Alex, your neck is looking bigger.
Yeah, immediately they saw that. Well, I think it was like posture because I probably after 2 weeks, obviously you're probably going to stand up better. I probably had, horrible nerd neck of just going like this the entire time.
I don't think I've ever heard that.
Really?
Nerd neck.
See, I didn't hear about it until a few months ago. Apparently it's this new term going around. People that work office jobs, and so they're they have these I won't say machines, but devices that they people use when they get home from work, and it kind of stabilizes their neck, and they use it for 10 minutes, and it's supposed to prevent them from getting into that poor posture. If there's
a nerd neck.
Yeah. I like the terminology. I think it's new, but I've heard called.
It's just of all the things for them to notice, they're like, "Wow, your neck is getting bigger, Alex."
Oh, I mean, fuck. I don't really have that much time for video games anymore, but back in the day, middle school, high school, I played video games all the time. So I'm sure it had an impact, without a doubt. I mean, shit. I come from a family of bad vision, but my glasses, my vision is worse than my dad's. My prescription's worse. Not worse than my mom's, but I'm sure playing video games all day did not help that prescription.
How are your parents?
They're good.
They're good?
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
You got a niece now, too. And
yeah.
How old is she?
She's 2. She's going to be 3 on March 28th. Shout out to Riley, Pat, and Leslie.
Okay. So, what are you getting her?
What am I getting her? Probably.
Come on, you're the favorite uncle, yeah?
I think I'm actually the only uncle. Funny enough, because Leslie has all sisters. So there's that. So, and, I'm the only uncle.
And it's just you and, I guess, what's your siblings? What are your siblings like again? You have just one older brother?
No, I have 2 older brothers, but the oldest brother, it's probably a story for another time. I could go into that forever, but that's
well, let's just go into it.
Can we not?
Sure. Okay. You don't have to.
It's nothing that it's I don't want to share with you. It's just that I'll be on it forever. Like it's a subject that's probably we could do an episode about it in a day.
Because he was with, he was your mom's previous.
Yes. So was Pat. So they're technically my half brothers, but I've lived with them my whole life. So I mean,
I have a half brother named Pat too.
Nice.
Yeah. What's your other half brother's name?
Pat. No, it's Troy.
Troy. Okay. I was just saying.
I think we're brothers, man. Just an FYI.
No, I'm an uncle.
But yeah, having a that also helped with depression, anxiety, right there, because seeing it's not my child, obviously, but seeing like someone that's born in your blood, has your blood, your DNA. That was
so full of life.
Oh God, yeah, that was game changing right away. Immediately, I'm like, I must do everything I can to protect this baby.
Yeah, well, I think it's because you look at it too. Like they have yet to be shit on by this world. You know, like they still have dreams.
Oh yeah.
And actually, that's the thing. They probably don't even have when they're that young.
No, she said she's told me about her bad dreams before. It's funny. I don't know if she really has them.
I didn't mean those kinds. I meant like aspirations.
Okay. I don't know, man. She had a pretty scary dream. She told me that she was walking in the Petco parking lot with my mom. Okay. So she was with Grandma, and they fell. They fell, and that was obviously traumatizing for a 2-year-old. I can't. So she immediately told me that she woke up having a dream about it. Like I was babysitting one time, and she's there. She's like all shaking. I'm like holding her, and I'm like, did you have a bad dream? She's like, yeah. I'm like, what happened? She's like, I fell. I'm like, God. Okay, either.
Why do we fall, Master Bruce?
Yeah, so that's
to start quoting.
I've had to deal with. It's all prepared, but I like it because one, I love my niece to death, but it's all. I feel like it's like a practice for when I have my own kid. Because right now I just am the uncle. I have the fun. I do I do some babysitting here and there. I have to change some dirty diapers, but I get to give it back. So
very true.
Now, it's not fully being a parent, but it is definitely good practice, I'd say.
Yeah, you get all the fun of being a parent, but none of the responsibility.
Yes.
Nice.
100%.
Nice. Was family always, as a big of a thing for you as it is now? Like,
We've always been a very close family, I think, and a lot of that comes from the recession in 2007. My dad lost his job. He was in sales. Sales immediately got hit with the housing market crash, and crash just pretty much across like the entire, like all markets. Housing market obviously was a huge part of it, subprime mortgages, but almost every industry got hit with it. So being in sales, they fired him, and it was very competitive to find a job, so it's not like you just could find a job right away. Mm-hmm. No, it took a while. And so that got us really close because, we had to live, unemployment paycheck to paycheck, do what we, like my brother and I would do what we can to cut back on groceries. So it was like a team. We were really in it together because we knew that it's like, well, first of all, my parents obviously got in a lot of arguments, but for a lot of families for that, I don't think divorce was ever an option because, well, it's a recession. It was called the Great Recession. It's really bad financial times. If you divorce, like, okay, you're just going to be dividing the money that's left like that. And it's already a competitive job market right now. So that, we really had to buckle down. I was always close to my family before that, but I think that's really what really tied a very tight knot right there with what we have.
I think there was this one study I was reading. It's like 66, so 2 out of 3 relationships have at least one argument a week about finances. It was like to me, what seemed extremely high number. But I think it also kind of shows just,
I'd say it's more than that,
money drives everything that we do in our life. Well, we all got to survive, right? So you got closer to the family through hardship, I guess, and then obviously, though, you guys ended up making it through. Dad got another job, and then you guys all went through college?
Well, actually, it was kind of a couple of jobs. It actually lasted quite a bit because sales is so competitive sometimes that he actually got a job, and then I think he got laid off like a year later.
Now you were only
so it was struggling until like it was like a job or two until like we finally got established to where he is right now, and he's still employed.
Because you were like what, 12 or 13 then, around that time, yeah. If it was 07.
I gotta think. Wait. I gotta do math.
Let me do the math too.
If I was born in '94, then I would have been 13 in 2007.
Yeah.
13, 14. So yeah, it was late middle school, early high school.
So when did you? Was there an age where your parents started making you get a job?
Oh yeah, right away. When I turned 16, immediately, if I wanted to drive the car, I needed to have a job. I had to. So
what was your first job?
First job was working at a place called Mac Automation in Woodstock, Illinois, and I was.
Shout out to Mac.
The owner is not named Mac, by the way. I'm pretty sure his name is Frank, but I don't even know if he's still there. Anyways,
he stole it from Mac.
I did light assembly, which was like not really assembly whatsoever. It was drilling holes in castings that would go on conveyors, and then I would clean stainless steel, because like when welders would be working with stainless steel, there was like obviously this residue after like you mold it together, you turn it, whatever, shape it in a way, you have to clean it with this hydrochloric substance.
Wow.
It wasn't just acid. The fuck you, man. Like, it's so cool. What? I can't determine when I'm supposed to be serious.
Tell me more.
You asked me.
I'm listening, man.
Oh man, the voice thing just spiked up right there. I was like, ah. So.
Okay, that was your first job.
Yeah.
All right. My first job, I was 16 as well. Worked in a place called Orson's Farm and Home. Just like any farm and home place, it's all like, animal feed, gates, and whatever. And it was such a stupid way to get fired. I mean, getting fired at 16, it has to be a stupid reason, right?
Have a good day. You too. How's your meal? Good.
Same. The manager at the time was a guy named Landon, maybe something like that.
Good old Landon.
Yeah, nice guy.
I know one other person in life named Landon, by the way. So this is getting a little sketch right
probably
now.
The same guy.
Yeah.
But Landon was a nice guy, good manager. Showed me the ropes, if you will. And he had this thing. He's like, hey, like sometimes. If the registers are closed, but like you want a snack, you can grab it off the racks, but just make sure to ring yourself up the next time you come in.
You didn't ring yourself up, did you?
No, so I did. So I'll get to that. And I remember I had this shift. I know the guy. I will not name names, but he had not worked with me yet, and. I did that. I pulled something off the racks after hours, and he was like, "Hey, you gonna pay for that?" This guy I was working with. I was like, "Yeah, I'll pay for it. I'll pay for it when I come back in next." He didn't know me. He just thought I was stealing merch. Right?
Wait. When you come back in next?
Yeah, because the registers are closed.
Oh, right. Okay.
And so I was like, "Yeah, I'll pay for it when I come back in next." And again, this guy was not in the wrong. Kind of. And so he just thought I was stealing from the store. And so rightfully so, he goes to the assistant manager the next day or something like that and tells her all about what I did. And so she calls me, and this is why I get so, not that I get pissed, but like I just like the way that this happened is so silly. She calls me, she's like, hey, like, do you want to pick up a few extra hours today? And I'm like, sure, yeah, I'll come in. Like, I like working. And for me, it's like a 20-minute drive to get to work, right? So I'm like, all right, drive all 20 minutes there. I come in, and like all the other coworkers.
Is that supposed to be a bad drive, by the way, 20 minutes?
Well, in the country. Anyway,
dude,
let me finish.
I drive 35 minutes, asshole.
Yeah, well, okay. I drove 15 miles. That's the difference. You drive 5 miles and it takes you 20 minutes.
No, it's a 22-minute or 22-mile drive.
All right. Stop talking. Anyway, I get there, right? And all the coworkers, they all like me too because I was like, 16-year-old guy and I'm goofy and stuff like that. And they're like, oh, hey, dude, I didn't know you were working today. I'm like, yeah, she called me up, right? I can't wait to get to work today. And she's like, hey, can you come to my office, the assistant manager? I'm like, yeah, sure, I can come in. Fine. And she's like, all right, I'm going to need you to hand in your vest. And I thought she was joking, right? I'm like, oh, are you firing me? She's like, yes.
Oh my
God! I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, what just happened?
Dude, I can see that as like your same reaction. It's like, same. It's like, no, really. It's like, same.
I was like, what is going on? And so, like, I was 16 too, right? And I was like, always this like golden student, perfect child, like, and here I am getting fired from my first job, and so like I walk out of this Orson's crying, and like all because the coworker's like, "What, you're leaving already?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got fired." I'm like leaving the building, and I go home and like I have to tell my parents like I just got fired. And then my dad calls up the store. He's like, "Hey, we just want to make sure this doesn't end up like on his permanent record for stealing or something like that."
Oh my god!
And I was just like, it was just such an awful but funny to look back.
Hey, at least your dad's looking out for you that way. That's good.
Yeah, because my mom was like, "What did you do? Like, why would you steal from the company?" I'm
but
like,
that's
"Mom, that's not what happened."
That's how my parents are, and I love my mom to death. But my dad is definitely the more one where he'll like pause and be like, "Okay, let's work this out." Like,
we can talk about
this. Your dad doing that action is definitely something my dad would do, and my mom would do the same thing, where she'd be like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, I mean, I think that's just motherly instinct.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think. Well, I think one of the funny things that I learned as well, just like from that experience, is never falling for the whole like the corporate we're a family here. I think ever since then it's just like, yeah, like we want to build this environment where we treat everyone
it's
like
more
family.
Retail though, that's the thing.
It's
I mean, at the time obviously you're 16, you'd be emotional. I think anyone would be emotional. Hell, even I'm sure my dad, like people getting fired as adults are emotional. It's defeating. It sucks. I personally have never been fired, but it's pretty common, especially it's common. Shut the fuck up.
Okay.
It's very common in the United States compared to a lot of other countries to be fired. Yes. So a lot of people that we meet in life, I'm pretty sure I'd have to read it somewhere, but I would not be surprised if at least 50% of the U.S. population has been fired at least once, because I think a statistic said like 20%, but it also said, disclaimer, some people may be lying here. I mean, it's not fun to admit you got fired. It isn't. It's not a good life experience. So
I don't think you think 56%.
50? I mean, think of how many jobs that someone works, and I've seen people get fired at my place.
I mean,
so
I think
like,
but there's a difference between quitting and being fired.
No, being fired. Like literally, I've seen them like walked out with like a manager and stuff like that, and like they'd say like it's like it was nice knowing you and stuff like that. It's like, okay, like nice knowing you is kind of an eerie thing to say, because it's like, wait a minute. Like one of us, we're both going to still exist, right? Like, are you coming to kill me, or
once you walk out those doors?
Yeah, so
it all ends.
But I mean, I could be wrong. That would just be my prediction. I think the actual statistic that shows like 20% or so is lower because people aren't admitting, which is okay. I understand. Like I don't think it's really something that you want to really share that information with someone randomly asking you, "Hey, have you been fired?" It's like, back off.
Who's asking?
Yeah, exactly. Like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
and I guess you think about like resumes and stuff like that when they ask you like, "So why did you not work at this place anymore?" And you're like, "Whoa!" Because I remember I was in college, I still had that 16-year-old job on my resume, I think. Because after that 16-year-old job, I didn't work it until college.
I gotcha. You worked at Family Video, right?
Yeah. That was my freshman summer, I think.
Yeah.
And, I had to quit there before I probably would have gotten fired from there too.
I remember you were still working there, I think, or at least you were talking about it when JT and I came to visit.
Yeah, that manager was a awful person. Again,
shout out.
No need for names, but that guy was just a guy who was jaded by life and liked to take it out on his.
Yeah, someone named Logan Woolery.
No,
like that.
Logan's a friend of ours. He was here this weekend. We love Logan.
I know.
Hope everyone gets home safe today. Everyone has different drives. Yeah. So, I think I'll kind of wrap things up there with that. And again, for those listening today, the point of this episode one is, I hope you guys have a friend like Alex out there.
Oh man.
Again, we talk about such sad and depressing conversations on here. But I want to, one, give people hopefully some hope in the fact that, like, yeah, I get sad, depressed, I have panic attacks, anxiety as well. And, but then, I come out here for these little vacations to see all the people we haven't seen in so long, and my cup's full.
Right.
And you're good. Even if it's just for a few days, you're good.
No, absolutely.
And not that this trip didn't have its own set of drama, which is fun in its own right. But
it's definitely something to talk about. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It definitely gets the mind thinking.
But, again, if I can slowly get better, you can too. And maybe that's one thing too, for those that listen to this podcast, maybe one day, hopefully the podcast will come to an end, right?
I kind of like it though.
Where there's no more sad things to talk about. But the point though is understanding that it's not just, none of this has ever been about me.
Yeah.
It's for the people out there that don't have a friend like Alex, right? Oh, they don't have the person that can turn any serious conversation into something goofy. It's find your Alex, and hopefully somewhere down the road as well, maybe you guys won't even have to watch the podcast.
It really means a lot, honestly. I want to add on one last thing, that when we were talking about like my bouts of depression and anxiety, like my lowest point in 2018, I called you for advice, and you gave me really good advice. Like, I remember calling you. I called Drew, which Sadie was also there. So I kind of like, it's funny. Drew is like one of my best friends, but it's almost like I connect him and Sadie together as one person, because it's like
she's the smarter half of their.
Oh, he said it, but like. It's how it is. It's not an insult to Drew whatsoever. In fact, I think it's kind of like a compliment, because, as you said, it's like a golden relationship. They actually are meant for each other. It's truly a significant other. So you can almost morph them into just one awesome person. It sounds a little weird, but that's not what I'm trying to get at. But the thing is that you were there for me when I called. I remember that you had experience with it, and I'm like, okay, David's gone through some shit. I need experience from advice from someone who has gone through some shit. And when you talked to me, like, through that and said, it's like, look at the life you have, look at like, what you have so far going on with you. That, again, I keep repeating myself a little bit, but it is that grounding thing. It brought me back to earth, because when I have a panic attack, I feel like I don't even know what's going on. Like, I'm just trying to like not die at the time. Mm-hmm. And when like just hearing you talk and going through it and like helping me just kind of like breathe, do something every day. I remember you would text me after that talk saying like, hey, today I want you to do 30 push-ups. And I remember replying, I'm like, you got it. Simple as that. Even if it was just something simple as that, like doing push-ups, yeah, it makes me feel good, but it also was like, hey, he truly took that conversation when I called him to heart, and now he's trying to really help me out. So it goes both ways, man, honestly. The friendship is a two-way street. So I'm
hopefully
glad.
A lot of time left for it to continue.
What's up? Oh, we'll have a lot of time left.
I
thought you were saying like, I don't know what you said actually. It kind of just like went one out the other.
I don't know what I said.
My brain wasn't done processing yet, and it was like error.
I think I said like lifelong friend is what I wanted to say. I was like a long time to continue. It's been a long weekend, man. Like,
no. But you know what? Also, that's a good thing though, because we're older now and we can hang out. It doesn't. Yeah, we had our drinks. We were partying there, but it wasn't as like intense as it has been in the past, and I don't mind that. I like having those more casual hangouts.
I'm tired by 10:30.
That's fine, because I like to wake up earlier nowadays. Although obviously you guys would say I don't wake up early. I'm used to waking up at 6:30, for work. And to
look
me,
at us getting old at 26.
I'm 27.
Oh God,
I'm gonna be 28 in August.
It's over.
Literally. Have you remember that? You're old.
No.
Mr. Krabs waking up, and it's like playing SpongeBob. And he's like, oh. And then he's like, you've got multiple chins cut. You've never seen this?
Is that when his foot snaps when it falls in a hole?
No. That's a
That's
a good episode, though. But anyways, the top comment on that video is when you're in your 20s. It's like true.
I mean, I wake up and things are cracking that definitely shouldn't be cracking. So. All right, so we'll wrap it up again. Thanks for everyone that tuned in today. Again, hopefully this one was more of an episode you can just listen and laugh to, or maybe, again, just find a way to kill another hour of your Saturday. But moral of the story, find your Alex. And again, if you feel like you need a friend, you can come meet mine. And we'll see you all next week.
Peace.